Hey plant fam, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jacqueline and I have a jungle inside. It's small. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you are new here, I appreciate it. If you end up liking this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything from me. I'm so interesting. It's okay. What we're doing today is talking about this babe right here. I will bring her closer for you, but this is my Monstera Siltepecana that I picked up at Home Depot. Home Depot. If you missed that video, I will link it for you. I think it's gonna show up over here. Might be over here. I had a little trouble when I brought this home. It had a lot of leaves that were yellowing. I couldn't figure out why. I figured maybe it had been overwatered, not getting enough sun. It was in Home Depot after all, and I don't know for how long it was there. It was not in the best shape when I picked it up, which again, you can see for yourself. And it's been a little while now. I've been letting it grow, treating it for whatever could have possibly been causing it to go yellow in case it was some sort of infection or disease, because plants do that, apparently. Add that to the list of fun things that can happen to your plants. So to be safe, I treated it a few times with my neem oil and all of that stuff. I have a video about that I can link for you here as well. I'm treating mealybugs in that video, but I use the same mixture for everything, essentially. So I've been giving this babe a little bit of time to grow and acclimate and just be happy before chopping her up. Because what had happened was, and I mentioned this before, a lot of her leaves came in, is it focusing? Deformed. These were the leaves that were unfurling, so they looked like this in Home Depot when I bought them. So all of these leaves kind of came out wonky, and then because I lost some foliage in here, some of these vines are a little bit sparse. So in my hair already. I wanted to give her a haircut, and I was just kind of waiting for the right time to do that. It is still a little bit sooner than I would like to, but I'm very eager to like just get some cuttings going for some people. Sorry if I'm touching the microphone. I think that trimming it might actually encourage it to put out some more growth for me anyway. So I want to do that before it's too cold and the growing season is over. So we're going to get to that, but I wanted to talk first about how to take care of this babe. So I've had it for a little over a month now, I want to say, and I have her in my south, she's so stinking cute, but I have her in a southwest-ish facing window, so she's getting a lot of bright, not quite direct light. I mean, she's getting direct light, but it's eastern morning light, so it's pretty gentle, and then the sun kind of shifts a little bit and it gets some southern exposure. But the way that I have this plant positioned, she's not really getting bright light. It's hard to explain. The light kind of comes in on an angle, and I have her in the corner where it's not really hitting directly. Okay, so bright, indirect light, I've noticed this plant really likes. And another thing that I've noticed, she does not like to be dry for a long time. And if you know anything about me, I am a chronic underwaterer because I just can't be bothered to be hauling plants back and forth to the bathroom and whatnot once a week to water them. So I really enjoy drought tolerant plants. And I like to put them, you know, in the right container so that it's not draining too quickly. I learned my lesson with terracotta and pothos I hate having to water my pothos as much as I do, but I planted it in a terracotta pot. So there we go. Put it in plastic, children, if you don't want to water it too frequently. And you don't have to make your soil mixture quite as chunky. So I kind of mix mine according to the plant that I'm putting in it. Okay, so I've noticed that her leaves get really sad and wilty a lot faster than some of my other vining plants. Granted, this is a Monstera. I know that it looks like a lot of people call it a epipremnum, the Cebu blue, but it's not. I have one over here. I'm gonna actually show them to you side by side so you can see the differences. She's like a little bit more thirsty, and I don't know if it's just the soil that she's in because I haven't repotted her yet from her nursery container, or if it's just this plant in general is a little bit more thirsty than some of my other plants that you would think would be similar, that kind of vine and grow the same way, like pothos and philodendron. I couldn't think of the word. What's wrong with me today? She's thirsty. Just a little bit. Do not let her get wilty for too long because you will lose leaves very, very quickly on this plant. I have an issue with them yellowing and just kicking the bucket, even on like water propagations, which I will get to. And I don't know why. Sometimes the leaves are just like, nope, I'm done. And I don't know if it's just a natural process of this plant because it tends to be like the older leaves that are yellowing and dying off, and then there's tons of new growth. But I'm just speaking from experience how I've been taking care of this plant over the last month or so. For soil for this babe, I ideally would put her in my soil mix that I make myself. I don't know, now I would be a little bit hesitant to make the soil quite as chunky as I normally do for most of my plants. I add like orchid bark and lots of perlite, so I would maybe dial it back a little bit on that. Granted, this plant does not want to be wet. It does not like wet feet either, so it's kind of a very delicate balance. With this plant, I've noticed very prolific grower, but a little bit finicky when it comes to the watering schedule. You have to be precise or you're gonna lose leaves. At least I have. So that's it really for the care tips that I have. Lots of light. Don't over or under water it because it will not be happy. I probably water this about every 7 to 10 days or so, but obviously that's going to vary depending on how hot it is in your space, how much light it's getting, and the soil mixture that it's in, the pot that it's in. All of those things are factors that go into how frequently you should water a plant. So me and her have just been trying to communicate, get to know each other, figure out what she wants to be happy, because the happier she is, the more plant I have to share with you guys. And that is part of the reason why I am propagating her today. So I wanted to show you guys how I propagate this plant, and lots of other vining plants you're going to propagate the same way. So let's get into that. Okay, so here I am showing you what a node looks like. So anywhere that a leaf meets the stem on vining plants like this, you're going to find a node or an aerial root, an adventitious root, whatever you want to call it. I'm sterilizing my scissors to be safe. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut the vine right at the end so that I have some nodes. Basically, you just want to make sure that you have nodes because that is where your roots are going to grow. So here I have 2 nodes, and this can just go straight into water from here, and hopefully it would root from both of those nodes. So this vine, I'm just showing you one of the deformed leaves that I want to remove. So I'm going to cut this vine and do the same thing. Make sure that I have a node. And I'm just getting rid of the excess stem that we don't need because that could potentially just rot in water. And then here, what I decided to do was to make some smaller cuttings. So you'll see I have 2 nodes here, which means I can cut right between these 2 nodes. And now, boom, I have 2 cuttings. So now I have this cute little top cutting. It has this little node right here where it can root from. And this other cutting that I can either cut into single leaf cuttings because there are plenty of nodes for that, or you can just plop it into water like that. And that's it. So I brought you guys a little bit closer. You would have just seen me cut some of these little pieces. I want to show you from this angle in case you couldn't see too well. This has a little node right here, so I can just pop this into some water. This one here is a single leaf with 2 nodes. Move you back a little bit. We're a little too close. I ideally would like to create more of a bushy plant, which you can accomplish by taking smaller, just a couple leaf cuttings. This one is really, really stinking cute. This cutting, or you can have like longer binding cuttings. But I think that I might actually cut this into some smaller pieces here. So just to, like I said, create a bushier plant. I'm going to let these cuttings callus over. So basically like the way that your skin would scab. This is a fresh cut. You want to let it scab over before putting it in water. So that doesn't, I don't usually wait that long. A couple of hours is fine because you don't want to have them out for too long either. So what I do is literally I have this cute little propagation thing here. I'll put some warm water in here and then just kind of stick each. You want to remember where you cut the plant so that you know which way to face it. I've done that a few times where I was like, wait, which side goes in the water? So then you can just kind of plop them in and make sure that the water is filled up enough that it touches the roots but not the leaves, and then you're good to go. You wait a couple weeks and hopefully you have roots. So I'm gonna actually just keep on cutting this plant and then fill up these. Before I leave you, I wanted to talk about the differences between the Monstera Siltepecana and the Pothos or Epipremnum Cebu Blue, because they do have a similar leaf shape, and I can understand why at first glance they might look like the same plant, but these have a very distinct dark green veining and then that really cool silver variegation that's actually called reflective variegation. It's something I'm going to touch on in another video coming up soon. So once you get a look at the Cebu Blue, I apologize, it's hanging on a macrame, so it's gonna flop down kind of weird, but you can see that there is no silver variegation on these leaves. They are very similar looking, but there is no silver variegation. And the green color on this plant is actually, it looks so much cuter when it's hanging. The green color of this plant is actually a little bit more faded, if that makes sense. Okay, so we can get the camera to focus. I can't see, but hopefully you can. And you can tell that this plant here has a very distinct silvery variegation. It's called reflective variegation. And this plant does not have any reflective variegation. Very similar leaf shape. Again, hopefully you can see, because I can't. And yeah, I can understand why they might get confused. But again, two very different plants. So hopefully now we can tell that this is not a Cebu blue, this is a Monstera Siltepecana, and this is a Cebu blue. Hey fam, what's going on? Coming at you on a different day. It's been, I don't know, a few weeks, I want to say, since I filmed the original video of me chopping this plant up. So I wanted to give you an update on how the roots were doing in water. And then I also put some in moss maybe a week ago, 10 days ago, something like that. So I wanted to show you how they're rooting up in moss as well. And yeah, I wanted to show you before I actually ship out these cuttings, because I sold them on Etsy. Because if you didn't know, now you know. I have a shop on Etsy, and I will leave the link for you below and all that jazz. It is currently sold out of everything, but I've got some stuff rooting, so give the shop a favorite, a little heart, something like that. And yeah, and you'll know. I also always post on my Instagram when I've added more to the shop. So if you're following me on Instagram, then you'll know when I add stuff. I'm so tired. Let me go grab the ones in water and I'll show them to you, and then we'll check out my greenhouse. I haven't shown you my greenhouse yet, but we're gonna briefly look at some stuff that's in there, and then that's it for this video. So it's a little dirty, I apologize. And I don't know if you could see well, but I wanted to get a shot of these roots for you in the water, because this is where I have them sitting, in this southwest window. And these are the roots. Bright ass grow light, look, but we can use it. I got a new grow light, by the way, too. You didn't notice. I'm not done setting it up, but so these are the roots that grew in water since you saw me trim them. So there's that. Okay, so then in here we have some in moss. I really don't want to take them out, because some of them have been in here for like a week, and others I just put in. So I don't know if I can even find one that has started to put out roots yet, but I do have them sitting in moss as well, and I find this to be faster, especially if you close it up. But we're in a greenhouse, so it's pretty closed up in here. And that is the update on this Siltepecana. I'm gonna see if I can try and find one that's a little bit rooted. Hold on. Okay, so I found this one that does have a little baby root. I don't know if you could tell, coming out right here. So these are all like really baby leaves, but they're still super cute, and they're happy rooting away with the other stuff. Hey guys, so that is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed watching the process of how I propagate my plants. So if you did and you want to see more like this, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.